swear the chicks is thicker. Reppin' for the team, that's the bench of Houston sippers. She don't want your liquor, she don't want your chipper. She poppin' for a legend, that's a real masa flipper. This is for la raza, this is for la raza. I'm in my trap, casa whipping up the damn masa.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the What Did He Said podcast. It's your boy Chingo Bling. We have Marisol in the building. Whoop, whoop. We got Rob in the building.
What's up, everyone?
And Marisol has been having these crazy dreams. So, welcome back from the other side, because she thought a spirit, she got superstitious.
I told you about my... Didn't I tell you about this?
No.
We haven't talked about... Well, we talked about it the day of the shoot. We thought we mentioned it.
Oh, no, we mentioned it at the shoot. You're right. Yeah. So it was like more of a lucid dream? You guys ever had real lucid dreams?
Lucid is where you can kind of control it?
Yeah, where you actually wake up in the dream and realize you're in the dream?
I had zero
That's
control.
some Matrix shit, bro.
Yeah, for real.
You've had that?
That's way too high and some alpha brain at the same time.
What kind of high you were on? Fentanyl?
Yeah, whatever Trump's on.
Oh, hey, don't you talk about my president like that.
Your president.
So check this out. So it was really weird. It's no like a foreign thing or a new thing for the podcast, right? You guys know that we always talk about how crazy busy we are. And it's been crazy busy. We had a photo shoot coming up, and for the first time I delegated. Right? Okay. So for the first time I delegated, I actually allowed Ashley to come in and help and handle the entire photo shoot, meaning she ordered blanks, meaning she went and bought the wardrobe that we needed for the shoot. Basically, she went to Angels to drop off shirts to get made.
So just to back up a little bit, podcast listeners, y'all know y'all always get the first scoop. Mm-hmm. We had a cool little photo shoot, which somebody told us is that's what we're talking about. Nobody else knows about this but you guys.
Yep.
Just y'all. And it's a new e-commerce site.
Exclusive.
Some new shit. So you had assistance.
So I had assistance, right? For the first time in 5 years.
First time.
5 years.
Because, I don't be helping.
No. You know what I mean, babe, to where
First time.
You help, but you don't help.
It's okay. Words hurt. It's okay.
He doesn't
he's
help.
always like, I'm the talent. I need to be the talent.
Yeah, he's always, exactly.
I want to show up, everything set up.
Exactly.
I want to be like Kylie.
You show up to blow
You
up.
think Kylie be setting
and
shit up?
trust me, that's how he gets it 90% of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because that 5% or 10% that when he does come in and have to do something, it's never ending.
And I'll fuck it up. So you had Ashley.
And I don't hear the end of
California vlog, still not edited. So what happened? You had Ashley help you.
So anyway, I had Ashley help me. So I finally decided, well, I was going to go do my eyelashes earlier the day before, right? But in my head, I was thinking, oh my God, if Ashley doesn't get it right, I'm going to have to blame her for this, right?
As you fell asleep,
as
they're
I
doing
fell
your
asleep,
eyelashes.
they're doing my eyelashes, right? Because your eyes are closed. It's natural that you fall asleep. So all I was thinking about was like, I have allowed her to 100% take control of this.
It was a test.
I have not even she's asked me a question. I told her to ask David. That's a David question, not a me question.
Not
and
a
so,
she's
not
talking
human resource,
not a
organizational flow chart.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, but in the back of my head, it was just like, that's all I could think about, right? I was like, oh my God, if this shoot does not turn out right, that's it. It's my fault because I decided that I was going to allow someone to help me.
And these were your thoughts as you were
I was
going to sleep.
The night before.
Naturally, right? No. Why they doing your eyelashes?
Why they do my eyelashes?
See, that's the part that most people don't.
Okay, it was the day before, so I was prepping. I was getting my nails done, my eyelashes done, all that.
So for an hour and a half, you ain't got shit to do but to close your eyes because
Sure.
somebody's adding dead people's lashes to your face, basically. But go on.
That's gross.
So I fall asleep, right? And it's the craziest thing. I can't control. I want to wake up, but I can't. So my brain, I guess, is pretty active, but my body is completely paralyzed. I can't move it. So it's called, what did you say?
Sleep paralysis, I believe.
Okay. So I've never had experienced this before. So I'm asleep, and I just can't wake up. But mind you, the left eye, she had already finished. So in my dream, I'm able to see a little bit from the left eye, right? So I can't, we've got a show in my dream, right? I've got to get to him, right? Because I can't let anything fuck up at a show, right? So I'm stressing out that I need to get to him because I can't see, right? And how am I going to get to this place where he is you know. So I find this guy. I'm like, you got to take me down through the green room. I said, take me down this hallway. I said, I have to make it to the show. I was like, my husband has a show tonight. I said, he goes, we got to call 911. He's like, you're just, you're not good. And I was like, okay, my husband's about to pull up. Here's where it's going to get crazy.
Man.
My husband's about to pull up. I said, can you please let him know what's happening? So
Husband pulls up in your dream.
Husband pulls up in my dream with someone. Actually, it's you in the car.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that it's your face. I know that it's you, but I don't see your face.
Right.
So he pulls up in the car, and they're like, hey, your wife's not doing good. No, she'll be fine. Just give her the merch. Tell her to go sell the merch.
Handle the merch.
Handle the merch.
We ain't
Tell
got
her
time to be
handle
passing
the
out.
merch.
In the dream.
That was the funniest
So
thing.
she woke up already hating me, like kind of like, damn, this dude just be cracking the whip. Handle the merch. So that's our inside joke.
So yeah, so now that's
She'd be like, do you want flour or corn? Handle the merch. Bitch, get the merch.
Instead of mush, it's just sauce. It's
Get the
just with
goddamn
whip.
merch.
So it was like I couldn't get over it. I felt like I died. No joke. I felt like I couldn't move. Like
Seriously, Kim, I thought I died. So while I was trying to calm her down, because she was like really shaken up about it, like, bro, I died in my dream, because she showed up to the workout session half asleep in the daze, because she was basically took an hour and a half nap with a weird dream. So me and Sean, the trainer, we're kind of like waiting, like, well, Marisol, yeah, we said, yeah, I was wondering, yeah, should we start? I don't know, I'm scared. I'm too scared to start. I don't know, yeah, I'm scared too. She shows up like in a day. She's like, I think I just died in my dream. And then I was trying to like tell her like, nah, it's common. It's called sleep paralysis. We get home. Luisa, who's from Mexico, different culture, she hears about this dream and she's just like, oh yeah, your spirit, yeah, you died. Yeah, your spirit
left and came back.
Oh no, yeah. Sometimes, and then Maria, the photographer from the photo shoot, she also grew up in Mexico. She came over when she was 14. She hears this dream thing. She's like, oh yeah, I have holy water next to my bed, because it's like a spirit is holding you down when you're feeling that. So fuck science. It's all about.
Of course.
It's all about demons,
exorcisms.
What is the thing from Stranger Things?
The
Gogamire,
Demogorgon.
Demogorgons. Just a whole bunch of
What'd you
Demogorgons.
say?
The other side.
Oh, the upside down.
Upside down.
There you go.
My baby went to the upside down.
I
and
did.
forgot the merch. I need you to go back.
No,
Handle the merch.
she remembered the merch is a funny thing. She was still hustling in the dream.
In
while
the
she
dream,
died.
hustling.
I was still hustling. I gotta get to the show. I can't let my husband's show fuck up. Like that's all I was thinking.
If that doesn't show true colors,
Right.
Of Marisol's
So when
hustle.
we launch this e-commerce, we have lives on the line. So this shit is crucial. I'd hate for this dream to go in vain. So please support when we drop it. It's gonna be fire. The photos are gonna look. I mean, we already saw a sneak peek at some of the photos, and it looks like.
They look
I ain't gonna
great.
lie. I could probably put on like a modeling school.
I was having a blast just listening to Chingo be like the model that he was that day.
I was being a model.
Chingo
Giving
totally went to like
lessons
that
and shit.
Barbizon. What was it called back in the 90s? Modeling school.
Yeah.
I think it's called Barbizon.
You know what it was, man? Is at age 40, I'm trying to finally learn how to navigate my. Like, I have these bad habits of, like, overthinking, getting in my head, and just getting in my own way. So now, the inner model in me was finding a way to be like, dude, you got to befriend your thoughts. Like, basically, stop overthinking. What's the one focus? What's the one goal? These photos got to be fire. You got to inspire via modeling. If modeling is how you going to inspire the world, then fuck it. That's how you going to do it.
Me, on the other hand, I was not that great of a model. However,
You're very authentic.
I'm very photogenic.
And very authentic. And a lot of personality.
I was telling David, I was like, doing Zumba pictures is a lot easier, and I'm going to tell you why. He's like, why? I said, because when you take Zumba pictures, all you have to do is dance, and they'll kind of catch you like dancing, so in motion.
Yeah.
So it's easier. I'm not trying to pose.
That's what I did. I just danced.
I didn't have to like.
That's what the
true.
photographer. Just go. I'm gonna just move my body.
Well, he also gave himself CTE with the second position. He
hit
plopped
my
down on the
head
bed,
on the bed,
and
yeah.
hit his head on the headboard so hard.
It was a lot louder than what it seemed like. It didn't hurt as much.
Well, I caught those 10 seconds on video. I'll show you later.
Yeah, when you drop
Awesome. So, anyway, funny thing is this photographer told me the same thing. He was like, well, you're not a model, but you're so photogenic. Because he asked me if he could use my pictures as samples. And I said, okay. So he's like, you're not naturally like a model.
So he gave you a total backhanded compliment.
Yeah, and I was like, but I'm photogenic, bitch. Then don't fucking use my pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that mean? And it's funny because I told David that I was like, okay, so I'm not a model, but I am photogenic because all the he's like, holy shit. He goes, let me find out you're really a model.
He's like, in person, it don't really translate.
He's like,
but you photogenic.
Again,
like,
another backhanded
right. He goes,
compliment.
it like fixes itself
exactly
as it goes to the computer.
He was like, you like photograph so well. He's like, you have like what did he say? His exact words were,
and I
he's
quote,
like, you have the perfect features popping out like in this photo shoot. He's like, and it's so crazy because you were having such a hard time posing. I'm just not. I don't like.
She's getting in her head.
I don't like to just like.
Yeah.
You know.
She's getting in her
I
head.
want you to just take a natural picture. Like, let's just pose up like together. You know.
Pair pose and let's go.
Yeah. Like, what's all this? Like, do I open my mouth a little bit? Look down, but only move your eyes. Don't move your head. Move your chin. I was like.
Like a fly's moving in, or like a butterfly's moving in.
I was like, these are
what
like
are we doing?
8 instructions for one thing. I was like, and then finally it was like I started having fun with it, and I obviously then the pictures turned out great after that.
It took me 40 years to get out of I'm trying to figure out how to get out of my own way. Like the other night, Mo Amer put me up. He told me to do 10 minutes at his show.
Great show, by the way, guys. If you didn't listen to the last podcast when we had Mo Amer, go check out his show for sure.
And go listen to, like Marisol said, listen to the episode where we had Mo on.
It's really his story's really cool and interesting.
Because he told a lot of cool stories on the episode that later became bits. Like when he talked about like being coming from Britain, like with a little British accent, even though he was, I guess, Palestinian, I believe.
I think so.
But then his family lived in Kuwait, and then it tells the whole story, right? But anyway. He talks about how Americans done hijack hummus, you know, how they done took the hookah and turned it into the little vape thing. Just a whole bunch of interesting shit that was familiar to me because I remember him telling this, like selling flags. He said after 9/11 he worked at a wholesale spot off of Harwin where they sold flags, and George Bush went on TV and was like, everybody needs to have an American flag. But anyway, he did 10 minutes of crowd work at the top. And then he did about another 50 minutes after that. And then he did a Q&A at the end. I did 10 minutes. And Marisol was like, man, you did really good. And I said, look, I'm figuring out how to
That's not what I said.
Get out of my own way.
Tell them what I really said.
I said, get the merch. No, what did you say? You were like,
I said,
my dog.
What? Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, my dog.
My hitter.
I said, what was that?
I was like, this is how we do on a Sunday. You know what I'm talking about?
He did amazing. It was like 0 in his head. I literally did not see nothing in his face that showed like I'm in my head right now. As when he does his own shows, I can see the process of him thinking.
So you reached flow state. That's what you did. You got in the zone.
Quite possibly. Oh, here's another thing I did, which I learned from that Tim Ferriss episode with that dude. Tim Ferriss said a lot of times my habit, my little brain trigger, the little hack or habit would be he'd instantly get angry over whatever the situation would be. He'd go straight to anger, and then he'd be angry at himself for being angry and just mad all the time. And it sounded like kind of like some bipolar type shit. And the dude said, well, let's think of ways we can use anger as like fuel or motivation. He gave the example of Michael Jordan, that when he was getting older in basketball, they would ask him like, oh, how did you just school these 25-year-olds? And he's like, well, I know that people are saying he's too old. They're saying you're too old. So I just told myself, he just like worked himself up into like a passionate, fueled anger to where he had some shit to prove, and he was going into a fight, you know, basically. So I was telling myself, they say you're not funny. They saying you ain't funny. They saying you're not a real comedian. You're not funny. And then I went and did my thing, you know. A little
he
hot
did
10.
great. I was like, I couldn't get over it. I like talked about it all the way home. He was like, well, damn, what did I said, it was just.
I'm like, you making it sound like I suck in my show.
He just did it totally different. And he, his segues, his transitions were just so much more natural. One of the things that I tell him a lot is, remember that you're here to have a conversation with your fans. They're here to see you, right? So right before the show, I always text him and I praise him and tell him how wonderful he is, and I give him affirmation, and you know,
And
I
I'd
do.
be like, and
right,
I'd be
baby?
like, yes, mommy. Okay, mommy. She's like, and eat your juice and don't let nobody take your lunch money. I'll see you at 3. I was like, okay, mommy.
Finish your salmon.
Yeah.
Finish it, yeah. No, you know, it's just like encourage. You know,
For
just like
sure.
if you're going to play a game, right?
Absolutely.
What's the first thing? You got this, or
Yeah.
a fight, or whatever it is, right? So that's
This is the
This-
closest thing I
this
have to
is-
anything athletic. Is stand-up comedy.
so this is his pep
It's
talk that I
showtime.
give him.
Game
you know?
face.
Yeah, it's exactly what I tell him. I'm like, you know, it's your
Except no
fucking-
one's gonna punch you.
your
don't have
stage,
to run.
your mic. You know what I'm saying? You do you, right? But that day, I don't know what it was. I felt nervous for him because it was Mo Amer's show. We're talking about Mo Amer here, who's worked with Dave Chappelle, and you know he's gotten to see. He's been
Well, yeah,
around
he's been all
forever.
around the
He is-
world.
exactly.
20 years in the game.
So it was a different crowd. It's not our regular crowd, and it was just like, oh my god! I was
I'm
like, you
learning
did-
how to get out of my own way.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Like I literally have to tell myself, like, this is gonna sound weird to all the listeners, but this is one thing that I learned on that Tim Ferriss podcast episode. This is a podcast where we talk about other podcasts.
We do that a lot.
Which is like, if I'm overthinking, I have to like note it. Hashtag overthinking.
Huh.
Hashtag overthinking.
You mean you really write it down? Or
No,
you
I
just
say it,
mental
and
note?
it calms me down to where it's like, because if it goes unchecked, if you don't, that's the importance of a morning routine, especially over a night routine, because if the shit goes unchecked and you just wake up, like let's say a curveball gets, like today we have to fly out after this. Pretend if I woke up and saw that like I had a flat tire and I hadn't meditated yet or something, it could lead to like I didn't get to play with Penny because I was too busy at Discount Tire. Now I'm sweaty and and before you know it, you know, that's just a stupid dumb example.
No, that's a great example.
But it's kind of a bad example. But I'll give you a better one. Like third show that we filmed in Dallas, it's like, I'm sorry, the fourth show. The third show went well. The next one, it's like, oh shit, dude, this is your last take, and for you know it, you give a fucked up performance because you just got in your head. So one of the things that I try to do to bypass and hijack like my own brain is make a note of like hashtag overthinking, hashtag self-doubt, hashtag lack of discipline. Like, I mean, I need to start with just a couple, like hashtag losing focus, you know, and just get back on it, just to kind of like time out. Let's make a note of what your brain is doing. The last thing I want to do is just be in my head all the time.
Yeah,
because
which he does a lot, and that I think
for
that
40
does-
years.
And I think that just comes with him
40
being a
years.
perfectionist.
As a baby.
He likes to, you know, do his best, and which he does. You know, he does. It's not like he doesn't do his best, but
Well-
sometimes I'll tell him, "You did great. Why are you always so stressed about it?" Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
it's
you could,
like,
like for instance, anybody that's anxious or has like anxiety or whatever, it could be hashtag a little anxious about something. And sometimes I have to think, what am I anxious about? Like, why am I not being present during this thing? Why am I in this little like panic mode of, if you're not being busy, if you're not working towards being good at XYZ, then you're fucking up and you're a failure. You know, it's almost like I've heard Pete Holmes talk about it, where like that self dialogue where you're just so hard on yourself that sometimes it's what keeps you, it's what gets you out of bed. It's like, you fucking suck.
Yeah.
You ain't done shit. Motherfucker, you comfortable? And it's like, and here I am in this little like panic. And so today we took Penny to go play at my gym. It's a little kids a class where they make them play and shit. And there was this one little boy that was there with, I think, his nanny or something. And the lady was like, she's very atrevida. Like, I see a little girl. She's everywhere. She's jumping on stuff. She's jumping off of stuff. This one here, he's very careful. Instead of like pushing things, he'll kind of like pull it. And I was just thinking like,
and before, like,
shit,
he
that might have been me.
He doesn't climb, like, he won't climb the stairs. He kind of like touches
Yeah,
it with
put
his
my
hand
hand
first,
first.
and then meanwhile you see Penny.
Yeah, she just head first, jumping out of
Just
the
jumping
trampoline, jumping off of shit. She has like a little scab on her cheek from being too rough.
Yeah.
But who knows? Yeah, it literally 40 years of like, relax, man, get out of your head, you know.
So one of the things that I like would do when I would go running, so that I could finish, right? Usually it'd be either like, especially with when I would do the half marathons, just because when you're at the end, you're just kind of like, oh my God, where is that freaking 10-mile mark? Once I'd get to the 10-mile mark, I'd know that I'd be straight, like, oh, I'm cool after this, because the like adrenaline kicks in, and it's like the last 3 miles are like nothing, you know. So
they're
it was
like your blisters pop,
Yeah.
shit your pants, you know.
No, that's for the full marathon.
You're shaved, you know, typical marathoner.
Oh my
And
God.
so I used to always just tell myself, like, right as I was like getting tired, be like, you fucking fat ass, you can't even finish this. Seriously, that's how bad you are. You can't even finish it. Look how weak you are. You can't even get to the 10-mile mark without wanting to walk. So it would be like
Speed walk.
and I'm like sitting there breathing hard, still going like
Blisters popping.
the smallest jog ever. And then finally I'd get to that 10-mile mark and I'm like, cool, we good now. Just take off.
Meanwhile, you just overlook the mental disorder that you just went through. You know,
Yeah.
it'll expose itself later down the
Yeah.
line. You're like, oh shit, that should have been a sign.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you fat ass bitch, you can't even run this? Yeah, because you're so fat. That's why you can't even make it to that. And I'd be like,
Now you're mad at yourself.
yeah. And so now it's like, you better
Because
go.
you just, you know, you can't resist Oreos, and Oreos are delicious.
Yeah.
Was that was a half marathon you said? Was that 221 in Galveston that you run? Did you run that one long time
No,
ago?
I did this one actually in Huntsville. I did a relay
Yeah.
marathon. So I ran half, and the other guy ran the other half.
Oh.
And so I think I told you the story was
The alligators?
The alligators. It was out in Huntsville. And so I had no idea that there was alligators. So I'm like concentrating. You know how they have people giving out like
fuck
candies, water. You know, they have
Hydration
those stops.
stuff?
Yeah. So I was like in the middle of it, and I was running. I'm like concentrating. I have my beats on. I'm like jogging. I'm like, okay, I gotta get good time so that my partner, because I did the first half, so I was like, I gotta get good time so I can give my partner enough time to make his good time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like super content. Ladies are going like this. And I'm like, I'm thinking she wants me to get water or some of those gummies, the energy gummies, and I'm like going like this. She's like, and I'm like, no, like I don't want any. Stop asking me. Then finally I went like, I don't want them, but I put the headphone piece to the back.
Yeah.
She's like, be careful. Someone just spotted an alligator, and I was like, what? Ask me
Pick
how
up the
quick I
pace.
ran after that.
God damn.
I was scared. So someone accidentally stepped on the tail thinking it was a trunk of the tree because, you know, it just kind of blended in with the forest,
Yeah.
you know, and so when we were running, and so she stepped on the tail. When she stepped on the tail, it took off. It got scared, you know?
Yeah.
So she went and told the little station, she's like, please let people know that there's alligators out here. They totally camouflage with
Oh
the
my
with
God.
the trunk of the tree. So it just
Was this like a back road trail, or is it
no,
like
it's
a
out
park?
in Huntsville. It's like a Huntsville Park. Maybe
Yeah,
I don't
Sam
even
Houston
know.
State Park.
There you go, something
Yeah.
like, and it's like super like, there's snakes out there too.
It's like forest.
It's
It's all
like
just
forest.
forest.
So I was like,
Wow.
it was for a good cause. It was like for an orphanage in Colombia. So it was to raise money for them. So it's like,
Quote unquote.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, who knows?
That's all we can think these days. Does it really go to the orphanage?
Yeah, who knows?
What percentage of that
Yeah,
money
exactly.
goes to them?
Yeah.
First, the organization has to pay themselves, and then they send the rest to. But yeah, so that's whenever. It wasn't that one. That by that time, I was already pretty good with the half marathons,
Yeah.
so it didn't phase me. But when I first started doing them, you know, it was like,
Mental warfare.
yeah, it was like, man, you know, what am I doing? It was kind of like, at first I was scared because I was like, why am I doing this again? Like, this is really dumb. Like, just because you did a 10K, now you feel like, okay, the next thing up is, I can't get myself to do a marathon, but the
that.
half marathon was fine. It's just like, it's just 13 miles.
See, Dawn
you
did
know?
something like that with her sisters, and they're the same way. She was in excellent shape at the time, but she got a foot fracture. Her other sister got they had to take her to the hospital in an ambulance. She
They
got
did
so
a marathon?
dehydrated. Yeah,
Yeah.
And then the third one didn't even finish because it was just like they had to do it, and then all of them ended up fucking up somehow and fucking themselves up.
Wow.
But you know, in the mind, like, oh, keep going, and
Yeah, you'll see people like shitting in the
in the woods.
woods, or you'll see underwear just there, socks, especially since people who are trying to really get their time, like beat a time,
Like, no time to shit.
yeah, so
Socks.
they'll just
Ugh.
kind of like,
Got a better time. Ugh.
it was crazy
Just
because
walking
one of
and
the
shitting like a
guys,
horse.
his eyes like were so like the blood vessels in his eyes popped or something.
Holding it.
It was so crazy.
It sounds like we're just talking shit about runners, but when I had my cryo facility, I had a shit ton of marathoners, like Boston marathoners, and people that were qualified around the world.
Oh, wow.
To get like whatever you get, like you get a big old pennant at every one of these big ones, like Boston and DC and shit, and then you get this big plaque after you've completed all of them. It looks pretty cool, right? Like Tough Mudders do similar things.
Iron Man get the
Iron
tattoo.
Man. Yep, exactly. Yes, a ton of Iron Man old clients and stuff, and they were all no shit. Insane. They were all crazy. There was something wrong with the way that they looked at what they were trying to achieve. I mean, their relationships would go to shit. They'd be complaining that like they're not doing their work. They're just focused on getting this medal or getting this fucking
like David Goggins and shit.
David Goggins, exactly. Goggins, yeah, man. It's like it's really weird. Like there's something kind of like that. It's just
the brain,
it's a weird
brother.
adrenaline. That's why.
Yeah.
So for me, so I did like this little runners club when I did the first half marathon.
Runners clubs are big around
here.
here.
So I did a runners club, and so what I did was I needed to learn because I never really okay. So I used to subscribe to runners.com. So it was like, and so I would read about like all the different. You got to get the right shoes, the right socks.
So it was like
blah, blah, blah.
bodybuilding.com,
Basically,
but
for runners. And so then it was like, oh, how to get to a half marathon. So they'd have little articles on like how your patterns need to be when you run, right? Like the patterns of running, and then like how to breathe and so forth. So I was like, okay, I still don't get these patterns. So maybe I'm such a visual learner. Maybe I just need to go and actually join a club. So I joined a club, and it was like, here's your trail for the day. Go run it. You know, and I was just like, what? Okay, so wait, who's going to teach me here? But it was like pretty cool because it was like the thing was today you're running, let's just say 6 miles, right? So you're going to do maybe the first 3 miles without stopping. And then the last 3, we're going to do either you walk a mile, right? And then it's like, and then you go 1 minute off, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Yeah, like exactly, tempo running. And so then you learn that, and then you increase every time. Yeah. So now it's 2 minutes, 1 minute off, 2 minutes, 1 minute off. And that's where, like, when people ask me, like, what's the best way to run? I always say start off with 30 seconds. If you can jog 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, 1 minute walk. It's like that's a different type of tempo. That's obviously for somebody super beginner. But it was, like, really cool. And then after that, it was all, like, mental. Ask Chingo I would ask him, like, when we'd go do dates, I'd be like, "You want to go jogging?" He'd always be like,
"Bitch, get the merch." Yesterday, I jogged half a block.
Did you really?
We were walking on the wagon, taking Penny around the block, and then my dad showed up because he was gonna help me haul some trash. He was like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "Shit!" So I had to like jog around the block, and I was like, "Fuck!" I don't know if it's because it's humid or because it's Houston.
Definitely.
But that little jog, I felt really old.
Nah, it has to do. It's definitely temperature has to do a lot with it. A lot of people like to run in the cold. I hate running in the cold.
I'm the same way.
So I'm not a cold runner. I definitely can put up with heat because there's so many ways that you can like hydrate yourself and keep cool. Versus, I never felt like when I ran. I actually that relay marathon. I actually did it in the winter, and
you never warmed up. Like
I just could never get. No, it was like. Honestly, it was like at the 10-mile mark, it was like, oh, finally, a little bit of sweat came down. Wow. I was like, shit. And I did the super basic, which was keep my chest warm, my head warm, and obviously socks, whatever. And it was just like, I never needed to take off my my long sleeve. Like, there was no need.
Dude, my company sponsored, like, the Sugarland Half Marathon, the Turkey Trot, all these different runs. And we'd be out there with my business partners, like, supporting the community, and we'd have maybe something set up. We'd, like, hand out coffees or whatever. And these people were there with those short shorts, maybe a muscle shirt, if that, and that's
Nipples on fire.
Yes. And they're like, the perfect weather to run, and it's like 30 degrees outside. I'm like, okay, well, not too many Mexicans were out there doing it.
Of course. Well, really, there's not that many, period, when you do runs.
Pero por qué? Ejercicio.
It's pretty interesting. I did, though, when my dad passed away, that's kind of how I jumped back into the whole fitness gear. It was like a big scare to me because I was in party mode for so long. I had not really, like, working out. I still did it here and there. Like, I'd go do dance classes here and there, but it wasn't like, oh, I was like how I was before. Yeah. The partying scene kicked in. So anyway, when my dad passed away, it was a huge scare because it was like diabetes, and then it was like heart attack was due to the diabetes. So it was like, holy shit, it was like, you should probably take care of yourself because guess what's going to happen? You're more than likely to get diabetes as well. So my kickoff was I did run, a 5K. Well, I got all my family to come do it, so it was pretty cool because it was everybody came and we did it in honor of my dad. It was for the Heart Association. So, you know, we went and we did the first run, and that's kind of how we kicked everybody off. And then after that kicked it off for me. It was almost like a little bit of a runner's high. I got obsessed with, like, doing these, like, little 5Ks. And then I was like, okay, these 3 miles are getting really boring, you know. Then I did the Bluebell run because they give you ice cream.
Nice.
And
then you really shit your pants.
And it was funny because I got my Aunt Lily to go to do that one. I was like, come on, Lily, you know, and I got a few of my Zumba students. We drove all the way to Brenham and, you know, we did the Bluebell run. It was pretty cool. And then
how early?
Oh,
it was
like
super
5
early.
in the morning.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah. You did one.
We did. That's what I'm trying to get to, baby. You would listen to all your 5K, 6K, 7K. Marisol and I did a 5K, and then Mickey ran a 1K.
Oh, the kids 1K.
Yeah, but she came back with her side hurting. Daddy.
She's built to run.
Daddy.
The only one I do at this point is the Houston Brew Mile, where you have a beer every half
I did
mile.
the Michelob one.
Yeah.
I don't really like Michelob, but I
Well.
just did it because it was one of the ones. But they gave you beer instead of water.
Hey, the Chingo Eighth Wonder
5K.
Right.
5K
It's
Brew
gonna be a
Mile.
1K. Brew K.
So
Brew
yeah,
K.
Brew GK.
Brew GK.
Brewji. That's the running experience. So there you go.
People, to put a pin in it, I guess, like people forget it's a skill, and if you don't do it for a long time, more people hurt themselves running than they do weightlifting.
What?
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Man, I believe it.
Your
Yeah.
gates off, and then you start going there and they're just beating, you know, the concrete too. They don't even run on track or on.
I don't even
turf.
know nothing about a gate when it comes to running. Like your stride.
Yeah, your stride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your
I don't
chest
know.
out,
Yeah,
you know.
where your
it's-
hips.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
yeah,
important.
see?
Knees.
Oxygen goes in.
Yeah.
See, nobody ever gave me a breakdown.
It was
Before
funny.
I got signed up for a 5K, no one told me about the gate.
She already knew all that and said, "Chingo, come
Yeah,
join
she
me."
didn't tell me. No.
He did well though, so I was proud of him. He
Barely.
didn't stop. I actually have a video where he's like wrenching his shirt and it's just water just dripping. Literally,
hold it down.
literally, it's a water fountain. Like it was crazy how bad he was sweating.
Yeah.
And then when we were
Humidity.
first dating, I
Memorial Park?
Memorial Park. I actually don't mind jogging. Jogging for me actually just kind of makes my brain just kind of think. It's weird. It makes me think things more like strategically versus like on the spot. Like so like for me, it's like when I'm running, I don't like to look up either. So I kind of do the down and then I gradually look up just to see where I'm going. And it's just me and my thoughts, like literally. So I'm not a fast runner, but I'm definitely a distance runner. So I can go for a hot minute.
You know, 'cause my baby's Mayan, so in her genes, after so many generations of hauling water from the creek in the river back up to the village, you know, avoiding the French and all that. That's why. So
With
genetically speaking,
Buckets on her head, kind of thing.
you know, strong head.
Why don't you tell them the story about when we first went to Cancun?
When we went to Cancun.
Why this joke that he's...
We went to Cancun and we took a bus tour to go see the pyramids, right?
Yeah.
And the tour guide is saying, you know, the indigenous people from this area, you know, the Mayans, and you know, if you observe some of the features, you know, you can have like a strong, wide back, short in stature. You know, what was it? And I looked over, round face.
face,
You know,
Asian
sometimes,
eyes.
and I looked to my left. I'm like, damn, baby, you didn't tell me you was mine.
It was hilarious. I was like, because we both kind of looked at each other. I was like, he's totally just
Strong neck.
describing me right now. I was like, what the hell?
Strong neck.
You know, just the perfect little head for a shelf for just a 5-gallon jug of water.
That's
You have your
funny.
child on each hip.
So I had told Chingo when we were first dating, I was like, do you want to go jogging? He was like, yeah, okay, I'll meet
I was
you
like,
there.
for what? Hello?
And then we went jogging, and it's funny because he was like, okay, so I was like, look, we'll stop whenever you tell me when you're ready to stop.
I
right?
forgot that part. I didn't hear that part.
And so he never told me that he needed to stop. So I just
You kept going, and you were way ahead of me.
My I used to teach. Let's see how many. I used to teach like 13 Zumba classes a week. My cardio was out the roof, so it was like nothing to
Like
me.
if
to run.
cardio was stand up, she'd be Chappelle.
Like the 3 miles was nothing.
10,000
to me
hours.
versus now.
A 6-minute pace and
Yeah.
a 10-minute pace.
So it was like I was like going, and I was like, okay, man, he must be in good shape because he's not asking me to stop at all. We're at 3 miles, okay. And
I'm
then
like,
finally,
Slow down.
we get to the We get to a water fountain.
I was like, bitch,
And I
get the
said,
merch.
He goes, I said, you good? He goes,
Get the merch.
what happened? I thought you said we were going to
Damn, you don't believe in brakes? Fuck you. What the fuck's wrong with you? David Goggins.
The OG David
Basically,
Goggins.
that's exactly what happened. And I said, well, you never said
Damn,
anything.
you fucking
I thought
trying
you
out for
were-
the Navy SEALs or
I
what?
said, I thought you were good because you
Jocko
never
Willink
said.
over here?
He never said, like, can we stop? I'm done. Nothing. He just kept going. So I just assumed he was
She
good.
was training for the zombie apocalypse.
Ah, that was
So,
hilarious.
Did
But
we, not to go to a somber note, did we address the bullshit that went down
We
in
didn't.
Odessa?
No, because
No.
it happened like 2 days after.
Yeah, it
though.
happened. The most recent shooting.
It was actually right after the shoot. We're
It
actually
was
finishing up the shoot.
finishing up our photo shoot. And
What happened at the you
Yeah,
told
we
me
heard
while
about
we
it.
were-
In the
Well, it must
elevator.
have happened during that day, but we heard about it in the
Mm.
elevator. We were just working, and we heard the people talking about it. And apparently, this guy got fired from his job. Did you have you
I
read
did,
any
man.
details?
It was so just like so many things have happened in Texas. I didn't want to read about another one.
Well,
I don't blame
wanted
you.
I wanted to know: did he have a manifesto? Was this like some domestic terrorism? Was this race motivated? Like, was he like literally trying to pinpoint certain races? I at least wanted to kind of know the basics. And apparently, this dude, he got fired from like his oil job, and supposedly during that fight, both the employer and him both called like 911, but like nothing really bad was said, like threatened.
So they both called 911 at the same
Something
time
like
because what were they arguing or?
I'm assuming that if you calling 911 and I'm calling 911, that means you tripping because I fired you. So apparently, what happened? What did he do? This is the crazy part. This particular dude, I think at some point he called the FBI or some shit, which is crazy. Like, what do you do? Google the fucking FBI number? And so anyway, he happens to be driving, and by chance he gets stopped and pulled over from the deputy, and so he was probably thinking like, fuck, they're on to me, this is it, it's going down, I'm about to go out in a blaze of fucking glory or something. He shoots the cop. I don't know if that police officer made it. Homeboy takes off. Now you got like Midland police, Odessa police, and the state troopers involved. He ends up shooting a random mail lady, a mail truck lady, takes her mail truck. Now he's in the mail truck. Now he's shooting at just random people. One of the victims was a 15-year-old girl who was outside of a dealership. She had just had her quinceañera on. I guess they were looking at vehicles or something. She just happened to be out there. He's just shooting. And then he made it to like a place where they had a movie theater. And then that's when the cops like ran him, cornered him off, and killed him.
Oh shit!
Because they were thinking like, well, shit, if he goes in that movie theater,
Yeah.
that's gonna be really bad.
I heard there was a 2-year-old victim too.
Well, the baby made it. I think it was like 17-month-old. I think it was shrapnel that hit the baby's
okay.
face.
Wow.
But supposedly baby made it. So the unfortunate thing is, hopefully there ain't no crazy motherfuckers. So my first thoughts were, is this shit on 4chan, 8chan? Did he post some little manifesto? And
You know what I
Was
wonder
it
is
politically
why
motivated?
hasn't anyone, as far as like FBI or anybody doing investigations, gone on that 8chan or whatever that's called?
yeah, I'm sure
I
they
mean,
are.
like-
Sure they have.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure
they
they
don't
are.
like monitor that bitch.
Well, each website, I guess I may be wrong,
Mhm.
but I think the loophole is you have like freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and that particular website, their community guidelines are going to be different than something like a Twitter.
Mhm.
Twitter, they're going to kick you off for certain shit. Facebook, they'll kick you off for certain shit. That's all I really know about that.
Isn't it crazy? Jack Dorsey's Twitter got hacked. The CEO of Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
And
they were saying he said some racist shit,
Yeah,
right?
racist shit, a bomb threat at Twitter, like HQ, all kinds of shit. And
Wait. He said some racist shit? What do you mean?
Yeah.
His Twitter got hacked. And
Oh.
they were tweeting out like racist stuff
From
and
his
threats
thing.
from his Twitter.
But who is he, like a founder?
He's the
co-founder?
founder. Yeah, he's the guy that created Twitter.
But is he still like chairman of the? or
he
is
wasn't, and then he's back in. He
He's-
wasn't. Yeah, they.
Was he CEO or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get all them venture capitalists,
Mhm.
the startups, like Steve Jobs. He got fired
Exactly.
from Apple for a little while.
Yeah, booted him out and then brought him back in.
So yeah, my buddy Smuck from out there in Midland, he said that he took his son to a movie, and he's like, dude, it's all kind of armed guards in here. It doesn't even feel it just feels weird. And I was telling Marisol, I was like,
they went to the movies and it was like that, right?
yeah, they went to the movies. So what the way I'm from the outside looking in. So when I can only assume that the only thing I could relate to from a community standpoint is how Harvey became top headline for Houston. Like people were seeing images, so everyone's like, dude, what the fuck's going on in your city? Like, I'm pretty sure your house is flooded. Based on these pictures, the whole city's under the water. It's like, no, some areas yes, some no, whatever. So from the outside looking in, what these towns must be like going through, I'm sure whoever made the call, whether it was the movie theater, like, yes, we need armed guards, they're probably like, people are scared. They want some kind of normalcy. Like, the whole community just got shook because it's so random. There was no kind of pre-warning, like a hurricane. There's no way you can kind of prepare. Hopefully no crazies are taking notes. Like, oh, if you're in a car and you're moving around, apparently it took 3, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just people not used to that. Like, those random, oh, shit, my bad. Yeah, we have 5 minutes.
Cool.
It's the, so.
But to just kind of talk about that, I'm curious as to, like, as parents, like for me, whenever we've talked about this before too, I've asked Mickey about like gun shootings and stuff, how they have drills at school. It's like, now you're not safe anywhere. You can be just randomly standing somewhere and just get freaking shot.
People were on the freeway. People were on that highway.
Wrong place,
it's
wrong
like,
time.
yeah, it's like,
and
man,
some cars just coming the other way shooting.
I seriously, when we were driving back, like, when we were finished the photo shoot, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, man, what is this world coming to?
And instantly,
bro?
my mind goes to the checklist. What medicines is this dude on? Has he been diagnosed? What type of mental situation? Where did he get the gun? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Walmart like supposed to stop selling ammo.
But they still sell the guns?
Good question. I don't know. It was on the ticker on like CNN.
They probably don't want to. I'm curious how much money they make off of guns, because number one, the Walton family is one of the richest families in the world. Number one, as we know, they've had issues with their employees. Employees don't feel like they're getting a fair shake. So from a business standpoint, from what I hear, gun factories, they're not taking a day off. They're not slowing down. There's more guns than there is people in the U.S. So that means some people don't have guns. Some people got enough guns for everybody.
Yeah. I don't know exactly where you stand on it, but after you hear like people on both sides talk about it, I still lean towards like an armed society is a polite society. There aren't more examples of not having guns being better than those that have it, know how to use it, know how to protect themselves being better.
Yeah, it's one that's a kind of a was something that I told you. I'm not against no guns, like
for
you
sure.
know. Again, I was a concealed handgun license
right.
holder, so for me, it's important to have one at home.
Barbie Pock.
So, to have one to protect my family, because if you're coming in my home,
You ain't coming out.
you're not leaving my home. You're not.
Right.
You're not going to. It's not me. It's going to be you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Don't make it a me or you situation.
because it's not going to be me or my family. You know what I'm saying?
For
Like
sure.
my kids, my husband, ain't nobody. It's finna go down. But what my thing is like, what do you need an AK for if you're not like hunting or so you're a gun collector?
Well,
What do you know? Like it's such a fine line there as to like, what's the AK for or what's the AR for?
The argument is that the ARs don't walk around and start shooting by themselves.
Well, they don't. I mean,
Neither
that's
do
correct.
the AKs.
Yeah, none of them do.
And then there's that whole thing about diseases of despair. Like, are some of the... Because here's the thing, too, man. I almost feel like at some point they're going to want to change the title of mass shooting because it gets politicized, and right away the politicians want to hop on TV and start giving their little 2 cents. And mass shootings, it's a very broad umbrella term. It's not everybody that does a mass shooting. For instance, if that dude would have went in his job and killed 5 people at his job, mass shooting. It doesn't mean he was racist. Doesn't mean he had a manifesto. Doesn't mean he was on 8chan. Probably he was crazy. But yeah, I don't know. And then the thing you said about gunless societies that there's no proof of them working better? What are some examples, like Australia?
Yeah,
or?
Australia. A lot of people think like Sweden or Switzerland, but they have a lot of guns. They just don't have to use them because everyone knows that they have them.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, people think like they don't have a lot of guns in those
So they
countries.
don't have any crazy people?
They
Like
don't seem
these
to
kind?
have. No, like it's not as rampant. I mean, at least we don't
So-
hear about it.
So it's it almost like there's an epidemic of crazy going around
Maybe
in the
it
U.S.
is- maybe it's because we are so diverse.
Diverse makes us crazy.
You know what I mean? If you go to Switzerland or Sweden, you can see a bunch of Swedes there. You know,
Same thing with China.
Yeah, there you got more knife issues, but still, like that's where my brain goes. Like there is so much diversity, and we're trying to get everybody to.
And it's
coexist.
one thing that Chingo actually, because he and I were talking about it again yesterday or some day before, whatever. And I think you said something like, "I bet we were like when the whole thing with the cartels were going on in Mexico, we were like, fuck that, we're not going over there. That's fucking scary. Can you imagine, right?"
And now Mexicans are like, why haven't y'all left yet? Because apparently everyone is like, yeah, there's random shootings all the time. But so here's what we're trying to say. Sorry, I might have made it confusing. When you would hear about like, oh, hubo un tiroteo en Villahermosa o Reynosa, está bien feo, no vayan. Okay, realistically, how was this tiroteo? Well, what it is maybe it was a 20-minute thing before it got contained. Maybe there were let's pretend there were 5 victims. 4 of them were cartel people. One of them was like an innocent bystander. Okay, so one person from the whole population for this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This one particular incident. So now the story in the U.S. is like, don't go over there, está bien feo. A lady at my gym today was like, Mexico, uy, está bien feo.
My mom said that yesterday. I showed her
Está
that we
bien
went to
feo.
Monterrey 'cause she's from that area. She's like, no, ni ganas de ir para atrás. I'm like,
But
okay.
it's like millions of people live there. We didn't see anything bad.
And yet they think that way about here. Like,
Right.
why are y'all still like?
Isn't that crazy?
Why haven't you like y'all? Y'all are just randomly shooting at people. Like,
Well,
going into a movie theater shooting people, going into schools shooting people. Now you're just driving on a fucking highway shooting people. You're going into a Walmart shooting. Jesus,
Yeah.
well,
Jesus.
and it adds to
Where are you? No, I'm just kidding.
it adds to, like, for instance, we see the absurdity in our culture in America. So on top of all that random shit she just mentioned, you also have like this thing called sit and stress. It's the new smoking, where people sit in office. It's office syndrome, where you sit in the office all day and you're just sitting and you're stressing. You're not taking a minute out to like breathe and be present, be mindful. Ain't nobody meditating, ain't nobody journaling. They just sitting and they stressing. And that's another thing about Western culture, because our identity has been wrapped around what have you done lately? What can you post that shows you're doing good? Post something that shows you're successful. If you're not busy, you ain't shit. And what's the next project? And you need to be achieved. Rat race. Go, go, go. No breaks. Do it today. Why do for tomorrow what you could do today? And it's like other cultures are like, I'm going to take a siesta, and then later on we're going to get a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread and watch the sunset.
Yeah.
Ain't no fucking stress.
So it's funny because when we went to go get a massage, and I had these like knots at the top, and the lady, I was like, "Is that a knot?" She goes, "Yes," and I was like, "Oh my god!" She's like,
Office
"Yeah."
syndrome.
She goes, "This is called an office syndrome." I said, "Office syndrome." So what does that mean? She goes,
Sit and
"You
stress.
sit and stress."
Two
It's
of
like, so-
Western culture's
So
favorite
he's like,
pastimes.
whatever your job is, he's like, you must do a lot of stressing and a lot of sitting. And I thought, I definitely don't do sitting, but I definitely do a lot of stressing.
Well, think
for
about
sure.
it. Think about it. We live in America where money is king. It's capitalism. We live in a big city where people living up on each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of motherfuckers cramped up. It's not like we live in Wyoming or Montana and we hunt deer and we breathe in fresh air and there's no rush, or we don't live in what's the matter?
Yeah, I
Time
know
to
you
go?
guys got to go. This is a perfect segue, not to cut you off, but I just found out about this place literally today, and I looked it up, and it'd be the perfect place. I kind of would want to go there with Don, but for you guys to get away when you have to unplug, you know where the Sanctuary is in Marina?
What is that?
The Sanctuary Resort. Look up the Sanctuary Resort in Marina, California. It is.
Oh, you going far, sir.
That is where y'all are gonna go on y'all's next vacation.
Okay.
If it's just y'all two.
Really, I thought it was going to be Mexico.
Nah, man, I'm telling you.
The
Sanctuary in Marina. It's on the beach. It's only like 60 or so of these like high-end resort type style cabins. You can leave the door open and the ocean's just blowing in there and you're hearing the sounds of the ocean.
The Sanctuary Beach Resort?
Yeah. It looks dope.
How'd you hear about this?
I don't know the podcast to listen to.
Mm.
Yeah.
The podcast that talks about
It sounds like propaganda to me. Oh, so it's
Full
it's beach.
Yeah, it's just beachfront type of getaway kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're gonna unplug, I could see this working.
Yeah, that would be where you just.
But I'm sure they have Wi-Fi.
They do have Wi-Fi, of course.
And wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, if you choose to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Like I said, it's taken me 40 years, man. I'm trying to get out of my head, bro.
And on that note, you got a plane to
we got
catch.
a plan to catch.
Because we're ambitious and we got a lot of shit going on.
What is
and our
Chingo
bosses
always say?
our bosses be cracking the whip, which is ourselves,
Which is Marisol.
basically.
Go ahead, Boo. What
No,
is
he
Chingo
just
say?
says like us together is really difficult because we're both kind of wired
right.
the same way.
Yeah, like when people be like, "Oh my god, like a couple goals or relationship goals or something," or like midnight, be like, "Man, y'all a power couple, man,"
Yeah.
or something like that.
Right.
And I'm like, well, to some extent, because I have to say, I've never really. I mean, I'm not saying women ain't hustlers.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that, but god dang, like she and I combined. It's like the way we think, we're on some off the wall shit sometimes, and we're
Yeah.
like, fuck it, let's try it, let's go. Hey, if that's what you want to do, let's figure out how to make it happen. So,
I love it because it is
Yeah.
uncommon. Not to take a stab at most chicks, but
not to do a patriarchy
Yeah.
gender role thing, but
also whatever.
so yeah, we got to catch a flight. See you guys in a city near you. We're wrapping up the tour. Only a few cities left. We also have North Carolina coming up, DC, Tacoma, San Antonio, Albuquerque.
And then we're done.
And get 10% off if you check out on some merch.
Promo code WDHS.
And because the podcast listeners have that code, when merch is released,
Yeah.
it'll be the first.
And y'all, I can't wait for y'all to see these
First
images.
and only.
For sure.
All right.
Have a good one. Peace.